you always start with the end in the mind. Meaning, I want to go to 2027. This is the end. And you define what is that. And based on that end in the mind, you start figuring out the things. But then what are those things? Stephen Covey principle number 3. First things first. So things that will make you get here to 2027, you take them first. That's why you need a book to document these things.
What I admire about today's presentation was the openness and the freeness in which Mungai brought some of the topic issues, and his ability to link some of the daily experiences with our ongoing work I found to be very profound, and his ability to articulate the 9 domain areas.
Someone who was funded through KCIC had my idea and asked me to consult KCIC and figure out if I can get funding. So I just happened to stumble on his motivational talks, and this is how I ended up here today.
Dr. Edward Mungai is a friend of our family, and I also got the opportunity to work under him for my internship at Kenya Climate Innovation Center as a client service intern.
Initially, I knew him through Strathmore, so it's my alma mater. And I used to see him on the corridors of Strathmore, and I knew there was this KCAC. But recently, following his content through LinkedIn, so even subscribed to his newsletter, the Inspire Leadership. So I got now the information about the session today through that newsletter.
There are several issues to learn and a lot of learning points, but I think there are key words that came out in the presentations that really help us to say these are the key message that is critical to carry along. One is that there need to have deliberate plan in whatever we are doing. Nothing comes by coincidence. We need to be consistent, plan, and put every effort in what we want to do. Secondly is that in as much as we plan and try and achieve the goals we want, it's our duty also to commit time for those things that we want to achieve. And when we do that, then the things we want do happen.
First of all, I think the talk was very exceptional. It was phenomenal. And I think my biggest lesson, or rather my biggest takeaway, is discipline and consistency. So essentially what happened today is that I was able to put my 2022 goals in focus. I think I had them, but after this session, which was very practical, I was able to basically internalize and plan for the future.
It was a good learning experience, especially from because he has been there before. You get to learn as a young person, you get to learn how you should rank like your obligations in this life, starting with God and in your spirituality, and going all the way down to managing your friendships, because he told us that by getting 5 of your friends, you can be able to get their character or getting to learn what about yourself, basically. I think as I move forward from school life into the working life, I think it will be a good experience to get to learn and to use this, what we have learned from Dr. Edward, and use it in our lives in the future.
In whatever we do, then there's always the need to remember that there is a space for the spiritual being, then the others will come in terms of ranking. So I think that was a very profound message, that success comes, yes, but then there's a part of spiritual part of us which is also critical in the work we are doing. I think then the third message, which I also found to be very, very interesting and quite good, is that in the space that we work, the ability to network, link with friends, link with relatives or family members, then also pursue the guidance of mentors and coaches, that we are not alone in this space, but if we are able to throw the net further and interact with a bigger audience, then we are able to have the support system that is very, very important to enable us succeed in the many things that we intend to do.
I believe each one of us should have a 5-year plan. We should have a 5-year plan, knowing exactly what we would like to have in 5 years. In organizations that we work for, Bank of Africa, right? If you ask them, they have a 5-year strategy. The question is, do you have your 5-year strategy? The person I asked this question told me, yes, it is in my head. And this is how it is. This is how it is. We have it in our... Yes, I know what I want to achieve in 5 years, but have you written it down? And how does it look like? And this is why I encouraged you, look at the 9 domain areas and see if you can come up with a 5-year strategy. Correct? Now, make yourself something called me, which is you limited. And this becomes me limited 5-year strategy.
One is mastery, of the content, but also of himself, because he was using examples, of what he has done, what are some of the challenges he has faced. So instead of me going through the same journey he has walked through in terms of, until to the point where I'm like, oh, I need to change my life, but learning from him, I think it's a way of moving even further, more or less, and unlocking my potential. I think that inner master, that mastery is important. And since he has reflected, he has researched, and I know he's a coach, he's able to now, ask you those questions.
I mean, for someone who's looking for a mentor, he's a perfect go-to, because I think we came in here not knowing, it was about expanding our potential, but I think we've gotten so much more from today's exercise. So what I'd advise someone who's youthful is basically to link up with him, or to look out for future programs such as this, or future sessions such as this. But basically I'd say for any, not even just the youth, but just anyone who's looking to have a fresh start or a jump start of their year should look forward to many of these programs, because then I feel like I've come out with exactly that today.
For the young people, we have been provided a framework in which you can know whether the job you're doing is actually a fit from the flow. Are you being utilized as you wanted? The money, are you being paid well? And also the joy, do you gain something at the end after doing the work? So by that framework, I think as I move on into my career, I can be able to evaluate job opportunities and be able to know, does this job, is this a job jackpot basically? And also I've learned about some books I haven't read before, and I think I will make some time and be able to get the books from audiobook and trying to read some and get some knowledge. And also another thing I'll take home is I've been able to learn different frameworks in which I can use to plan my routines, and learn that routines actually are quite difficult to implement, but at the end it is a good end, and it's quite beautiful at the end. So I think I will now try and use routines in my life and into the future as I go into the job market, and make my life a better place and be able to help everybody around and basically just improve my life.
The 3 takeaways is consistency, execution, and I think what I learned is things take time. So execution, consistency, and persistence.
My key takeaways in summary. 1 is the goal setting when it comes to the domains of life. 2, how do you now start executing them? So the discipline. And I think having a mastermind group, people will hold you accountable. I think that's important. And then the third aspect is now, being very deliberate.
I believe there is need to really have several sessions where Dr. Edward Mungai could be able to share some of his experience with many people, and really encourage people outside there, when they see that opportunity, when promotional opportunities are made, to meet him, especially in the talks, or even in the lectures, or even in the video calls. Let them take that opportunity and learn, and also take advantage that this is a person who is ready to share and help us in terms of strengthening our wholesome life, in which involves all the aspects that are critical, especially for our survival.
I think what particularly I want to ask myself today after this session is start with your why. In everything that you do, start with your why, and with that way it will give you a lot of mileage, and you'll be able to find reason to achieve what you want.